Hello there, thanks for joining us. This is a special report from The Voice News. I'm Bronson Peshlakai. Dr. Jerry Sue Thornton has been the college president at Tri-C since 1992, and this year she just made a decision to step down from her position. We're very grateful for Dr. Thornton to sit down with us to talk about her legacy at Tri-C and what she expects to do after she retires. Dr. Thornton, thank you so much for joining us today. Was the decision to step down a difficult one for you to make?
Well, it was a hard decision. I've given 21 years of my career to the college, and so for me it was one that was difficult to leave. I still have a lot of passion for the mission. I still have a lot of passion for what we do at the college, a lot of energy, but I just felt like 21 years was good tenure, and to give someone else an opportunity to enjoy the leadership position that I've had with the institution just makes sense to me. There's a lot of talent out there, a lot of people who are ready for a next move in community college, and this will be a dream job, as it has been for me, for someone else. And so I think those of us who are nearing retirement, if we don't go ahead and do it, it doesn't provide any opportunities for others in the field.
The perception of community colleges has seen a paradigm shift since you took office. Has this changed how you ran the office of president, and how else has it changed Tri-C since then?
Well, when I first came in 1992, we were experiencing a little bit of an extension of high school image. We were often referred to then as Tri-High, the extension of high school. And it was an unfair, I think, image of the college, because we were working with students across the spectrum of abilities and across the county. And with time, I think community colleges, both nationally and locally, have gained in prominence. There's a sense that we are adding a lot of value to our communities, that we are certainly part of higher education. We're just one other branch of higher education. We do things a little differently than the universities, but the reality is we certainly are valuable. I think as both President Bush and now President Obama have talked about community colleges, as we have seen it become more prominent as a pathway to futures for individuals locally in our community, the acceptance of what we do is greater. I think the other image has to do with students who perhaps come to us not prepared for college through no fault of their own, but perhaps that's been part of the image of the extension of high school, that we are doing, and for some students, high school work. But for the majority of our students, we're doing college work, and in many instances we're also doing honors work. And so I think that complexity of our mission was often confused by people in our community who didn't quite totally understand what we did. But you know, the whole Tri-High image, I think, has gone away, and I think there's a greater understanding of what Cuyahoga Community College in particular, but nationally, what community colleges provide for students.
The full-time college faculty voted a no confidence on your leadership twice. Did you take this personally at all, or was this a low moment for you?
Oh no, you know, I neither had really. The early vote of no confidence had nothing to do with contractual matters at all. It had nothing to do with negotiations. It was based around a 2-year study of whether we should stay with quarters or go to semesters. And so we did a 2-year study of that, frankly, and the decision after the 2 years of study, recommendation by the consultant who worked with the college, was to move forward with semesters. And I think there was a real dilemma and misunderstanding by some of the faculty who wanted to stay with quarters. And yet we had to prevail with making the recommendation to go to semesters, which was the consultant's report, as well as what was happening with universities around us. So the recommendation that I made to the Board of Trustees was to go with semesters, and therein was the reason for the vote from a segment of our faculty. Secondly, then, the second vote did have to do with faculty negotiations, and it really came down to an understanding that we didn't have the dollars to meet some of the expectations. And so it was a difficult time, but I think we've moved forward.
All right, thank you. Let's shift gears now. You have opened up so many opportunities for students with financial need. You started the Presidential Scholarship Luncheon in your inaugural year. How did you come up with that idea? And in your first year as president?
Well, typically a new president coming in has an inauguration. And I decided early on that rather than have an inauguration and spend a lot of money, we would instead have a fundraiser and raise money for student scholarships and grants. And so our first speaker was Robert Lewis, who was the founding board member and board chair for Tri-C. And he often laughed and said, "You selected me because I didn't charge you anything." And that's sort of been the case since then, that we've had outstanding speakers, but it's all been to raise dollars for students of need, as well as students of merit academically, so that we could support our students as they were going through their educational journey. So it's been a wonderful experience for me. It's been really 20 years where we have had outstanding speakers, but it's also been a way to introduce our community to Cuyahoga Community College. People who are in corporations and community leaders, civic, governmental, community-based leaders get to know so much more about our students, about our programs at the college through that luncheon, because we do a videotape where we share the college with the community at that luncheon.
From the past speakers at the Scholarship Luncheon, do you have a favorite?
Well, there have been so many outstanding speakers. It would be hard-pressed to say that one was a favorite over another, because they are such top quality. I mean, when you're talking about Oprah Winfrey, Tony Blair, Tim Russert, I mean, they're just all so positive and so nationally known and internationally known. And they've all given topics on a different direction. So it's hard to say, but I would say there was something about Tim Russert that was very touching for me. And I don't know if it was the fact that he went to school here locally, and it felt more like someone you knew and a neighbor, because it was a local opportunity to be with him.
Can you give us an idea on who the next speaker is going to be at the luncheon this October?
We don't know yet. It hasn't been announced. We are still in negotiations, discussions with who has the time, who can leave their national agenda to join us. But we always have support from past speakers to give us ideas, to talk with people they know who might be interested in joining us.
So after your retirement from Tri-C, you do still plan to stick around. On what capacity will you be serving on the Tri-C Foundation board?
I will be involved with the foundation because I've gotten to know many people in the community and many friends to the college, and we want to make sure that there's a smooth transition between myself and the incoming president. So I expect to be introducing him or her to people in the community who've supported us, and that will take some time to do. The other area that we have a levy to pass in the fall of 2014, countywide ballot issue for continuing funding for the college. And that is a real difficult chore to get the message out to all voters in the county that were on the ballot and asking for their support. That too is a lot for a brand new president walking in the door. So where I can be supportive in helping with the levy, that's the other area that I will be working with.
Okay. How important is that levy to the revenue stream at the college?
It's the county levy is extremely important. We were born by the county, not the state of Ohio. We are not a state institution. We are a state-supported institution, but we really are a county community college. And so because we were founded by the county, we do have to go back to the voters to ask for continuing funding every 5 years. And so it's going to be extremely important that we continue that funding. It's 42% of our operating budget. And 42% of those dollars gone from our budget would be dramatic for this institution. So it is extremely important that our voters continue to support us at the polls. We have lost twice in the history of the college over 50 years, not since I have arrived, but before that. And I think The reason that the college did not prevail in those levies is that we didn't get the word out to the voters, and so people didn't turn out to the polls to vote for us. Unless there was something else compelling on the ballot, they didn't feel that they should get out and vote. But often when we let voters know that we're on the ballot, they are very generous in supporting the college. I think they know how many touch points the college has made in their lives, in their families, in their neighbors. But again, you have to respectfully ask people for their votes, and that's what we will be doing as we gear up for the ballot issue in 2014.
Okay, so plans after retirement other than Tri-C, what do you want to pursue?
Yeah, I will be working on the national level with our community college, AACC, and working on policy issues. I just served for AACC on a commission, 21st Commission, looking at the future of community colleges. I was a co-chair with 2 other people. And there still is a lot of work to be done on that commission report and implementation of that. So I will be working with our National Association in Washington, D.C., looking at some policy issues and working on the implementation of that report. And then I will also be working with the Trustee Association for Community Colleges. They've asked if I will do some workshops for them, helping them understand the leadership that's needed in the future by community colleges, because it is those trustees who hire presidents and chancellors, and they're always asking where will things be going, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities for community colleges. And so it'll be a good chance to work with trustees around the country as they select new presidents for their institutions.
Okay, that's all work. What about play? Any vacations or?
No vacations planned. My husband and I will be spending some time with family. We have 4 grandchildren, 2 daughters, and so we'll be spending some more time with family. And frankly, we'll just be spending more time with each other. Time to go to a movie, time to go to a play when I'm not working. You know, this job really is 24/7, and it leaves very little family time, and so it's time for us to capture some of that family time and do some of the things we like to do. We like to play golf, and that takes time, and so we'll have a little more time on the golf course.
Sure, and you said you're going to stick around in the Cleveland area.
Yeah, my husband and I will be remaining here in Cleveland, staying in our home. I will continue to volunteer for a number of the organizations that I really feel passionately about here in the community. But you know, the decision will have to be what's appropriate for the new president and what's appropriate for me, because I think that's critically important. That new president is the leader of this institution and must represent this institution in the community. So we don't want to have overlap, and that person's volunteer work will come first. But what he or she is not doing in the community that's still a passion of mine, I expect to pick up as well.
Okay, Dr. Thornton, at the beginning of the year, The Voice uncovered a background check policy that we thought was a little unfair, and the Tri-C did back down from that policy after we published a report about it. I wanted to know, why did the college end up backtracking on that policy?
No, actually, the HR department reversed their own decision. And they did that based on, I think, a legal response. They then asked what was appropriate in the state of Ohio from the Attorney General's office, and I think they reversed it based on that. They had not gotten a legal opinion before, so it was really just a guideline that they were using. And I think they then needed to develop a policy that was in tune with the Attorney General's office in the state of Ohio. So it was based on a legal opinion that our HR department sought.
The men's team of the Tri-C Challengers made it to the second game in their playoffs this year, which is a really good feat for them. But they lost the game by 2 points. I've talked to Coach White about this, and he said if he just had a little more money, a little more funding in the sports program, he could bring this team to a national championship. Is there money available to give to athletics?
I have no idea. The athletic program doesn't report to me, so I'm not sure how the budget will be for any departments that do not report directly to me. We have absolutely wonderful leadership in our provost, who that department reports up to, and I'm sure she and the campus presidents have taken a look at where the dollars can go for the coming year, so I have no idea where they've allocated those funds.
Just one more question, Dr. Thornton. I know Tri-C is trying to think of a new mascot for the college, and would you be in any kind of opposition to having it called the Tri-C Thorntons?
I would. I know that there have been some names put forward, and there have been some students who voted on certain names for the mascot. And again, I think that has to be a college decision. It's not a presidential decision. It really is a college decision. And I suspect that we will come up with some appropriate mascot and name that really fits with Tri-C's image.
Dr. Thornton, thank you so much for your time with us today. And good luck and Godspeed in your retirement. And thank you for joining us. This has been a special report from The Voice News. We encourage you to check back here as we continue to cover the search for a new college president. I'm Bronson Peshlakai reporting for The Voice News. You have a good day.